turn it like this.
Oh, there, turn it that way. Okay, and then we need to fill it probably to something like this with water.
Tap water is good?
Yeah, tap water is fine.
And this is very...
Maybe a little too fine if I don't want everything going. And that's probably enough to start with. Okay, that should be locked in place. Yeah.
I think you have to turn it like...
Go a little bit. There we go. Okay, now it's locked. And what you do is you see it's got a pulse. Okay.
And it has.
Okay, that's where's on here.
Choose one of these and then pause.
Okay, chop. Is it on? No. Okay, chop. Okay, what you do? No more than 5 seconds at a burst. Oops, you got to do it again.
Maybe
okay.
the pause.
That's actually better. Yeah, well, puree. Chop is what I really prefer. Let's see what mix does. Maybe a little, oops, it wants to throw it, knock the lid off. The idea, if you can, is to tear up the skin as much as you can so it doesn't, it's heavy, what you're looking for is separation of the seed from the skin and the pulp. And for the most part, we've done that, I think, now. Let's try one more time. Yeah, you got skins there. Well, what we do, you could hear the seeds just then. Okay, let's try that now.
I can see a lot of them.
Yeah, there's some of the floaters are no good. That's the thing about it. And the first thing I usually do, see, I hate to set it down in there.
Do you want to have a bucket to dump it in a bucket?
Well, I usually just pour it down the drain.
You can do it. Or a bucket.
But I usually try to, yeah, you might want a bucket.
Big beaker. Yeah, I meant not bucket.
Beaker?
Beaker, yeah.
And then I fill it up pretty much to the top or close to it, and then let it settle.
Okay.
So that's probably enough right there. Just let it sit, and then you start, once that's done, you just go ahead and start pouring it off, and carefully. Yeah, that's done. We did a pretty good job. Now, one thing that may help with this is you don't want to pour off too much first time around. Now, the seeds, the good seeds, literally do settle to the bottom, but you also get pieces of skin. I don't think you have any flesh in here. And you got skin, though, that's for sure. Okay. You know those strawberry plants I've got in there, Hamid? I'm suspicious that they have a bacterial disease, and that meant that they had that when they got in there, when I got them from over at the MPRU. Dang it. But something just doesn't look right on the older leaves. They have these lesions. And that concerns me, that material that's supposed to be, you can watch seeds as they go to the, just look, you can see the little reddish brown seeds often. They're settling, they pretty well gone to the bottom. And I just do this over and over and over again. And then you start looking in here as you pour, and you want to make sure you don't see seeds that are, you've poured out good seed. Okay, we're getting there, but I hope we don't need to do this again. Sometimes you do. And since the
chopping, or
yeah, redo, do it again just to break up those more. Oh yeah, there's lots of seeds there. Now we can, here we go. You just have to, actually the ideal thing for us to do tomorrow would be to get, there's some good ones, would be to get a partial bucket of seeds to bring back to practice with. Morning. That would be good, this part of it anyway. Now much better, but there's still a lot of skin in there, dang it.
Uh-huh.
And that's partly because it's got a fair amount. You're talking about rabbit eye. If this were high bush, they would tear up much more easily as a rule. Okay, there we go. You just have to work it and work it and work it, and
To get rid of all this.
you get the majority of those out. Otherwise, after you dry the seeds, you end up picking through them with tweezers or something to separate that out. Because with that, if you sow the seeds with a lot of that in there, you get mold. And the skin is lighter than the seeds as a rule, so that helps. That they will, even though they're down there with them, they will, when you let it settle just a little bit, they will float above the good seeds. Oh, we're getting there. Yes, oh yeah. Quite a change in what you see.
Yeah.
Not perfect, but quite a change. And you're going to end up probably with some of the skin, no matter how hard you try. Or else you'll end up pouring off a lot of good seeds. Oh yeah, this is going to be a nice sample. Should have brought a messy one to show you how bad it could be. Yeah. Yeah, we may have one cross down that it turns out being a pentaploid by tetraploid cross, dang it. One of the ones I did. I did not expect that.
It's based on the flow cytometry.
Yeah, on the flow cytometry, yeah. Now it's possible it's just a hexaploid. It just is a little less, but I'm afraid it's probably pentaploid, dang it. In other words, you had what you'd have to do if you cross two tetraploids, what you'd have to do to get that is you get an unreduced gamete from one parent fusing with a reduced gamete from the other. Now we start this process. Just pour it, swirl it, and get most of it in there. And try not to. And I may have too much water. That's the majority of it, and there's some little bits in there. But you go ahead and look. But it's still not in bad shape, and I'm going to pour just a tad. Then swirl it again. Okay. Still got a few. Usually these kind of crosses, or the crosses you're dealing with mainly, it's very important to try to get every seed, I think. Every good seed. Too much. This is not necessary to get absolutely every good seed, I don't think. But that's, now, that one did run out.
There's only one. Okay.
All right, that's good. Now the next thing is you just let that drain a few minutes, and then I lay out paper towels somewhere. Now carefully take it off and lay it on that. And usually I change them after a couple hours for the soak through, and so they dry. And they need to sit out here probably 2 to 3 days
Okay.
to dry completely. You want them dried completely. And then you don't have any coin envelopes probably, or do you?
I think
I left some somewhere.
you can find it in the storage room.
Okay, but look, I usually put the seed in coin envelopes, and then put the coin envelopes for a particular year in a big, heavy-duty plastic bag in the refrigerator. And they really benefit. Well, you can do two things. You could germinate this right away, especially if you soaked it for 24 hours in 500 parts per million GA. But most of the time we let them dry for 3 months. Then they also benefit from a 500 part per million GA treatment. And it just synchronizes germination better, starts them a little earlier usually. You usually don't get improved germination, you just get more synchronized germination. So either way.
So you prime it with GA?
With GA.
Prime.
And it substitutes for there's some weak dormancy there. But still, the other thing too is I found if I hold seed for a full year, and I don't give it any special treatment, then they always germinate better. But you can, with a GA, it'll substitute for that and give you what you really need.